The following program is intended for a mature audience. Viewer discretion is advised.
This I've got to see.
It's worth watching, so stay tuned.
This meeting is being recorded Thursday, April 15, 2021. Closer to your mouth. No, I made that joke 5 seconds ago. You can't. Yeah, this is called hang 10 distance, I learned. This is called, I named this one. It's called sucking your thumb distance. Some of us are farther away than others, you know what I'm saying? Roger, buddy, good to see you. Bradbury's here, Ian's here, Dave, Bernard, good to see you, big man. J-Bar's here, Craig is here, hell yeah. Roger, good to see you, buddy. Oliver, close off. Bangerson, Matt. Hell yeah, I love you guys being here. Fantastic. This is Miss Cynthia Cruz, the only woman allowed on this show for her feminine perspective, for her professional perspective. Welcome, Cynthia.
Hey, thanks for having me, and happy Thursday. I can't believe it's Thursday already.
Right.
Or Friday.
Right. Happy double hump day. I'm just gonna title that right now. Happy double hump day. Oh, let's see. We've been in practice, guys. We actually had a guy ask us the other day, what are our credentials? And the reason that he asked was because we're meeting couples now. We've been doing couples work on and off for a while. We've met, I think, 4 couples, 5 couples for one-on-one, sort of this fun step into the fray, completely different ritualized, ceremonial way of bringing couples together using art and therapy and different things, right? So we've been practicing that for a few years, and we're going to be doing more couples work soon. And we're going out to Columbus, Ohio here in 2 weeks, and we're going to meet some couples out there. And one of the wives who we haven't spoken with said, "What are their credentials?" And I said, "Well, combined 50,000 hours in this field, multiple university degrees. We've been in mental health, psychology, and education for over 12 years, each of us. I was a businessman all through my 20s, which some guys like that. Some women are like, he hasn't been doing this since he was a fetus. No, I haven't been coaching since I was a fetus. And if that's a problem, then that's fine. But what are our credentials? Yeah, 50,000 hours in this field combined. And it's fun to say 50,000 hours. Lon last night very astutely told me that it takes 10,000 hours to get good at something. And I said, okay, I'm going to have to practice my writing skills. That's my fringe. That's my edge, is writing articles. But I can just hit go on a fucking video now, and probably 300 videos deep. You guys should have seen my first video, right? It's like terrified, look like I'm standing on it was like a hostage negotiation video. Like I was reading, please don't kill me. Anyway, we all start somewhere. Just like Hulk Hogan and just like our show, you're here because you want to be on fire in your own life. You want to know what to do and how to do it with your own self. I'm not quite sure what that means. I just said that for the first time. How to do it for your own self. How to do it for your own self. I mean, that's one way to do it too. I think that's called.
We have a whole course on that.
We got a whole. We now apparently have a whole course on doing it. Yeah, we absolutely do. Go fuck yourself. Ask Bradbury about that. Lovingly go fuck yourself. Don't ask Roger. Ask Jason Bradbury. Okay. Be careful. Be careful. The messages are different depending on who you ask. All right. We'll dive into the shit today. We've got posts from the forum. Let's see if there's one post that I pulled. A particular man is I don't know if he's going to be on here today, but he posted it in his private feed. He's been on the show before. He's been in our group before. I think he's been on our show once or twice. And if he's able to come on today, I try to keep these all anonymous, right, guys? So I'll read his post from the forum. It's a great question, and it goes right into our theme of this week about anger, how to understand your own warrior energy, what to do with your woman's judgment, and what to do with the judgment of your own self. So as you guys know, we start off with some comedy and then we dive right into this shit. I'm not scared of diving in. I've got some David Goggins that I haven't been able to get to the past couple of days, so I want to make sure to do that. I curate everything for our show, and Cynthia curates her Sexcapade spot today. So let's see what Cynthia's got for our Sexcapade spot today. Here we go. Yeah, you are a man starting to rise in the world. Cynthia's Sexcapade spots. Oh, she fell over. Oh, she tripped. I tripped and fell over.
Yes.
It's all about the circles. What? The circles. The circles of what? It's all about the circles. The circles of what? We're going to find out that the last 10 minutes of our show. We're also going to hand this chick a towel and a shower because she wants to get wet. I mean, she wants to clean herself off. That's what she wants. Maybe that's what Cynthia wants. She wants it. No, never mind. I won't go there right now. We'll go there later. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our show. We want to cut the thermometer. We don't want to be angry when she's angry. If she's not happy today, that does not mean that you have to have a shitty day. That's a huge piece of this work, is the way she feels toward you does not have to determine how you feel about yourself or about the relationship. And the way a woman speaks is metaphoric. It's about jockeying within emotions. It has nothing to do with logic when she's talking about interpersonal relationship with you, intimate relationship with you, right? So let's go into our Staircase of Courage question today. As long as you're not showering all that dirty, dirty sand off you right now or practicing your twerking class, I want you to take those beautiful thumbs of yours, Roger, and punch into the chat. What if your wife doesn't support you? What if your wife doesn't support you? I purposely asked this a little bit open-ended. Like, what would you do? What would you feel? What would you think? Would your life collapse? What would you do if your wife doesn't support you? Maybe it's in a new career venture. Maybe it's in this work that you're doing right now. Like, I don't believe anything that you're doing. This is all bullshit. You're trying to manipulate me. Why didn't you do this 5 years ago? I've never loved you. Let's see, I could keep going. Yeah, you're emotionally abusive and all this is just narcissistic bullshit. And let's see what else. You're a misogynistic pig. What if your wife doesn't support you? That was just off the top of my head. I don't know. So what if your wife doesn't support you? Punch that into the chat. You're here to connect with other men, whether it's privately in our chat right now. And a huge benefit of being here live is you get to see these videos that we have to cut from YouTube. I can't put any of that stuff on YouTube, whether it's because of copyright or background music or any of that fun stuff. So welcome here. You get to connect with the men and you get to see all this absolutely live. All right, let's jump into a question from the forum. I'm not sure if this gentleman is here right this moment. Maybe he's under a different name. I don't know as well. So let's jump into this one. Got a couple today. So this is a, what would you call it? I guess a meme that the same gentleman posted right before I read his other post. So I'm going to read this meme that he put in here. So as you guys know, this is the participation section of our show. Every single day I want to honor you guys. So if you have something you want to put on the table, if you have a challenge that you want to put on the table, definitely raise your hand in the participant section of Zoom or punch into the chat. We're not able to really read the chat during the call, but there are other coaches in here, right? Jason Bradbury, Andy Malloy, and Rob Piotrowski are our coaches through Great Men Move Mountains, along with, of course, Cynthia and myself are the master coaches. So the five of us, whether we're in here, and other men to support you as well. They've been through a lot of stuff. Guys in here have been in some of our small group coaching or our one-on-one coaching or Steve Horstman's groups, which is where I started 6 years ago, something like that, years ago. So punch into the chat or raise your hand if you want us to, call on you live. So here's this meme. Relationships fail because people take their own insecurities and try and twist them into their partner's flaws. So I don't disagree with this, but of course, with any meme, there's a lot more to the story, right? And one thing I would add as the icing on this cake is that this happens unconsciously, okay? This happens unconsciously. And within you, by the way, too, this happens unconsciously in your life for you as well. You project your shit onto other people as well. So I don't think that this is wrong, but you're not going to attack this logically. Let me come and talk about this for a second. When something happens unconsciously, it's very, very difficult to attack it directly and logically because the unconscious is not verbal. All right. So I don't need to go into science here, but your unconscious is not verbal and it expresses itself emotionally and instinctually. Right. So when your woman says, I've never loved you. Sex has never been good. You've never cared about the family. She's speaking metaphorically. She's speaking about Roger, we don't have time for you and I to have sex right now. It's okay. Just save that for a little bit later. Yeah. So she's speaking metaphorically. I don't know what that was. I'm just going to look the other way. She's speaking metaphorically, gentlemen. Okay. So don't try to pounce and defend yourself or explain yourself or to try to have a logical debate with her. It's not going to work. And she's going to think you're an asshole that isn't getting it. All right. So sure, our own insecurities for our own selves, gentlemen, our own bullshit stories is what we want to flush out. All right, here's the gentleman's post. I'm going to ask you guys, what would you do? And I always ask, where is this man right now? Where is he emotionally? And what do you think he wants right now? Okay, not necessarily 10 steps from now, but right now. He says, I'm tired of being angry, of feeling hurt. I'm ready to move on, but not sure how to let go. Like the anger and pain have slowly taken over part of who I am. I remember thinking that if I couldn't make it work in the end, at least I would know I left it all on the table and gave it everything I could. That's not how I feel. I feel like despite my best efforts, I was incapable of being enough. I have all the things I want now, and I know all I have to do is let go and move on. Yep, that's all. That's all I have to do is let go and move on. Right? Like the anger and pain have slowly taken over part of who I am. Like even though my best effort, I couldn't be enough. So I'm going to mute myself, right? I mute ourselves, and I want you to come on in. Where is this man right now? We're not trying to answer it right away, right? Like don't try to give someone the answer right away. This is practice for you. Practice for you when you're journaling. Practice for you when you're speaking to your woman. Okay, we're not trying to fix it for him right this second. Let's start with, where is he right now, and what do you think he wants right now? Come on in.
I'll say it. I think this is a guy that's not that line, I'm not enough yet. He's not. This guy needs to love himself more yet. He's trying to get his cup filled from his wife. His cup is not full himself. So that's how I feel about that.
Yeah. Can you relate to that, Lon? Have you had that? Have you been in that spot?
I have, yep. And once I sort of understood the concept of that I had to fill my own cup, and that, I was talking to Tatesy the other day, and he said that to me. He said that to me about my wife. He said, you have to understand, he said, you drained her cup enough times that she's not giving you any more from her cup. He said, that's the emotional wall. That's the distance. That's I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. And when I understood that, and I understood that filling up my own cup is the only, once my cup is full from me, what I enjoy, what I like in my life, then my cup overfills other people. And it's a simple concept, but it's hard to grasp because you want other people to fill your cup. But I feel like I'm actually there with understanding that my cup is filled by me, what I do, what I bring, it's what I bring to it. It's what I do, if that's clear enough.
Yeah. So what's one thing that helped you ground that into your being, who you are, into your heart, how you go about your day when you wake up every single day? How did you bring some of that? Okay, I need to do this for myself and not be trying to steal from her cup. How did you bring that in for your own life?
It was an empathy to understand that the things she was doing weren't things she was doing to me. It was that she was doing for herself. And to realize that even though I had hurt her, and that I'd caused her pain, to realize I couldn't fix it anymore. I couldn't fix what had happened. I can only fix what I have now. So it's that idea that I didn't do it well in the past, but now that I know better, I do it better. And I've just come to to be honest with you, for me, it was a fairly simple conversation with Sven on the round table where I asked a question that, that he, I describe it as he kind of came back with the scalpel and he cut me open real neat and pretty and exposed my beating heart to understand that I was asking other people to take care of me. And it was that simple. I mean, that's what it really came down to, Jeff, was a simple conversation with Sven on Facebook to understand. And it just opened me up to realizing that it was me, that I had to heal myself. Nobody else was going to do it. And I just try to do that every day now. And part of it is coming here when I can. We talked last night. I just try to be around as many people as I can who sort of have that same openness. I try to open myself up to, I didn't have a real good morning. And then I had to go run a bunch of errands. And by the time I got back an hour later, I was a whole new guy. I talked to a client of mine who we had a really great conversation. I talked to a lady at the library, same thing. I just was like, oh, I was present with where what it was, Jeff, I feel like I'm rambling. Sorry. I was present with where I'm at now, instead of thinking about what was and thinking about what is. I just try to be in this moment right here, right now. And when I do that, I'm much better,
Beautiful. Yeah. So three big things that I heard, Lon. You're in the present moment. You're taking thoughts and advice from another man who's been through this, right? He talks with other men. And then you're open to feedback. So I'm going to press pause on you for a second, Lon. I want to put this out there. One thing I had to learn for myself, and then also with the hundreds of guys that we've worked with, is, I'm speaking about myself now, right? If you have trouble taking feedback from another man that is wanting to do well for you, is wanting to give you constructive criticism, that has love in his heart for you, if you get butthurt and defensive and, think that he's trying to manipulate you, you have some level of difficulty with masculine energy. Okay. Whether it's from your dad or lack of a father figure, doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter like why, but something I had to be aware of is, if you get like defensive and like, fuck that guy, or who the hell does he think he is, or how dare he say that, you have some kind of issue with directive masculine type energy that's really trying to be guiding for you and open-hearted for you, right? That doesn't mean you're a bad person. Speaking to myself here again, I went through all this, guys. Doesn't mean you're a bad person or any of that kind of stuff, but it's okay. Let me feel the defensiveness and not attack back, like not think that I have to be in a boxing match with this man across from me, right? Maybe you were in sports a lot when you were a kid, like I was, and you were kind of trained in that way, or maybe you had to do that at home, or that's what was going on with your dad or whatever happened. But that's another opportunity, guys. So let me actually jump forward a step. Last night, there was a man within our Power 60 call that said, how do I practice all the shit that comes up in front of my woman when I'm not in front of my woman? So how do I practice all this stuff when I'm not in front of the most triggering person in the world for me? My girlfriend, my wife, my soon to be ex-wife, that kind of thing. I mean, the first one is when you get feedback from the other men in the forum or here on the show, right? Do you get defensive? That's the number one thing. And I'll go into the more advanced homework I gave that particular man another time, or ask me about that if you want. But so that this being here is part of this work. So Lon, I appreciate that greatly. Cynthia, let me ask you about this. What are you seeing here with, feel like despite my best efforts, I was incapable of being enough. One thing that you've honored men greatly for is our intuition as a man, right? It's sort of the cultural moray that women have the market cornered on intuition, like they have a monopoly on intuition or something like this. And that's not true. And one thing that, you're amazing at honoring men with is their intuition and their gut and what's going on. What would you say here about, I feel like despite my best efforts, I was incapable of being enough. But then he says, I have all the things I want now. What would you honor about this man and his intuition?
Yeah, it's a profound question, and it connects to what we talked about at the very beginning of, projection. And I really believe that if you're here on this call, you're a man who does pick up on other people's energy. And so him feeling like he's not enough is probably, it's not like he's just pulling that out of thin air. He probably does feel that in the thought process and in the energy of the woman that he's with. And we could pull apart why he feels that, what's going on with her. But I think what's important to recognize is we can pick up on how someone is feeling about themselves, how they're feeling about us, but that doesn't make it truth. And I think sometimes the agony of feeling like not enough is that you cognitively know I'm not supposed to think that. I know I'm supposed to be feeling myself, but you still are feeling some external reason why. And so it's separating those two realities and then choosing, this person may be feeling not good about themselves and they're projecting on me, and that's okay, because I can then turn in my direction and know what's true for me. And that kind of like, please help me find a way to be good enough, help me find a way for this person to show me I'm good enough, is kind of what David Data and John Wineland would talk about, is that level 1 need step. And it's human, it's real. And every time we rise above that, we're, John Wineland would say we're changing our karma. We're changing the patterns of relationships, maybe even from what you said early on. And I find that inspirational. It's not just trying to rise above someone else's thoughts. It's raising our karma. It's changing patterns that we probably repeat in many different areas. And if this woman just happens to leave your life, we might end up repeating that in the next relationship if we don't see it for what it is.
Yeah, if we don't see it for what it is, right? All the world's a stage, and we're players on that stage. And so if you were watching the movie of what had happened maybe last night over dinner when there was a fight, you and your wife, or you and your soon-to-be ex kind of thing, if you were watching that from a third-party point of view, if you're a fly on the wall, what would you think? And if you step yourself out of that situation, maybe even do that later, right? How would that affect your perspective on what's going on? If everything she said was a metaphor, if everything she said was not exactly true, if it was a metaphor, what would that mean? Yeah. BDSM coming in. No, just joking. The beautiful eyebrows. That's what I meant. Beautiful eyebrows is what his name. Yeah. Bernard, come on.
I think the man mentioned something important as well, because he's really guilting himself that even though he did his best, it might not have been enough. But I've also had it in life in which my best was really not enough for the people around me, mostly in work, not per se in relationship, but it exists that we live in an unfair world where you can, in your opinion, maybe do really good work, but that other people don't see it or don't see the value of it. And I think that's one of the, maybe overcoming one of the nice guy tendencies. Like, for example, when you have very argumentative guys and you know your logical arguments below and what's truth, and it does not matter how logical you are as well, you cannot change his belief. There are people in which,
sure,
no matter what type of arguments you have, you will not change it. And in that case, for example, you can be the best or have done your best, and it's not yet enough. So it's not only with women, but also with men. So that one was, those two things I saw. But it's good that he's realizing that. So sometimes, even if you do your best, it's sometimes not enough. And you have to learn to cope with that. But when that happened in my life, I also was always satisfied because I knew, I did my best. Other people don't see it, but they go home unsatisfied and depressed. Well, I go home and I'm like, I don't know what he was seeing. I was quite happy with what I did. Okay, then leave. But it's life is intriguing in this sense. I find it really. I would also like to say, why are you not seeing life like me?
Yeah.
But you cannot change people, and some beliefs are very hard to change. No matter how rational your argument is. That was one.
Yeah, I love that. I appreciate that, Bernard. Yeah, I 100% agree. And if we even take that times 10 and say, don't even try necessarily to change the person's mind in that moment. I would much rather have you fault in that way. I'd much rather have you default to just being in the emotion with the other person for a moment, whatever that means, 10 seconds, 5 minutes, 2 hours, whatever that means, without trying to fix it. All of us would go a long way. That would go a long way. That would be very helpful compared to what I used to do, which was defend myself or think it was a logical argument. Yeah. Roger, go for it, buddy.
Hey guys, I'm unmuted. I just wanted to insert one thing here, and you know I'm multitasking because I've been phenomenally busy. But you know, when you talk about the issue of approval, I've been giving some thought to that lately. Okay, because even though I'm doing great on my own, one thing I find is that when I don't have the kids and when I'm not out and about, it gets a little lonely and quiet here, right? So, you know, ding, light bulb goes off. I need a dog. Okay. Now, where this comes into play, obviously I have no wife or anybody to fuck with me or whatever, but like my parents, who have always been a little bit too much in my shit, you know, they're always naysaying everything, but especially the issue of pets, you know, like, what if you travel, blah, 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 what if this, what if that, we won't take care of it, blah, blah, blah. And you know what, and I found myself kind of reflexively or reactionally thinking, oh gosh, well, maybe I should hold off and wait for them to approve. And then like last night, the light bulb went off. I'm like, fuck that. It's my life. If I want a dog, I'm getting a fucking dog, you know?
I mean, plus there can be very attractive dog sitters that you could have help you out.
Well, that too. Yeah. Although I'm hoping for like a Swedish nanny, but
for you, right?
For me, not for the dog. I'm not into that. But,
does she do sponge baths? What's her number? Hold on. Tell me later. Tell me later.
I hope so. Yeah. I'll tell you later. No, I've got Brittany for that.
She doesn't have arms though, man.
No. It's like, anyway, I could make a what do you call it? A meningitis joke, but I won't. You know, that's true. The key here is, I mean, you don't have to be an asshole and you don't have to be defiant like my ex-wife seems to be to everything. But by the same token, you can consider other people's opinions, but at the end of the day, you don't need their approval, you don't need their validation, and you don't need them to like what you're doing because it's your fucking life.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Absolutely. Right. I love that. So I'm going to press pause on you, Roger. What's that?
A lot of this work doesn't just apply to intimate or romantic relationships. You can apply it to family, you can apply it to business. But the key is, I mean, be true to yourself. You know what I mean? I mean, do your own fucking thing. Don't be a dick, and you can consider the effect it has on other people. But by the same token, don't be afraid or don't feel the need to seek validation because you don't need it.
Yeah, beautiful, Roger. I appreciate that. I'm gonna press pause on you, buddy. Yeah, that's one of the 3 forms of confidence that we teach, right? Is the behavioral skills, the what to do. The emotional side of it, whole other story. The spiritual why that I'm on this path in my life. How can I make sense of the suffering in my life? That's the 3rd form of confidence that we talk about. But the behavioral skills, absolutely. And speaking of, let's go over to David Goggins right now for about 2.5 minutes of what if your wife doesn't agree with you? What if she doesn't support you? Here we go.
Find self-respect and dignity in yourself. You don't need a uniform to have honor. You need to have pride in yourself. Dignity. Stay hard.
You have to first accept it before you can fix it. A lot of people walk around, oh man, I'm good. I'm good. No, you're not. You have to accept what you're not. You have to, and people don't want to do that. And that's the only way you can fix it. You have to accept it first before you can go on the journey. A lot of folks never even start the journey, man. They never start the journey because they live in this fake life that who they want to be, they act like they are, but they're not because they haven't fixed all this stuff yet. You got to fix this first before we can start our journey in life. So that's why I have them make this list. You fix these problems, now your journey can begin because you no longer care about how people are judging you. When you care more about how someone's judging you, you're going to stay right there. There's no forward momentum.
Do you think you could go the other way and maybe become a bit cold if you don't care what anyone thinks? Your fiance, your kids, you know, they're not the people around, do you not care what they think?
See, that's the thing about it. You have to have an understanding of what not caring means. If your fiance and your kids don't believe in you, you can't care what they think. That means you chose the wrong support staff. So that's why a lot of people don't understand one another.
Your support staff has to be like, if I want to go out and do whatever it is, my support staff is, you know, my fiance. If she's like, you know what, you know, I don't think that you should be doing that, I have to take it, you know, why? So I can be open-minded. So why are you saying this? But if she's saying it because of her, you know, that's not the right thing. Because I need backing to do what I'm going to do. Open-mindedness, I need support. So you got to be very clear thinking about all that stuff. For instance, there's all these things that are on TV, and we have all these news people judging people who fuck up in life. And yeah, they made big mistakes. But that person who is judging you on TV, I guarantee you that news person is saying, I'm glad that my shit didn't come out. I know that about people. So if you want to sit back and judge how jacked up I was and how messed up my life was, Merry Christmas, go for it. Have a good time. But I'm smiling at you right now, knowing you have a secret that you're not willing to share. It gives you a lot of power when you're able to go on a podcast this big and say, hey, tell me, I'll tell you anything you want to know. I no longer care. There's a lot of power in that.
Oh yeah, I jump in right there. That's a beautiful video from David Goggins, and a huge piece of that's exactly what we're talking about. You can't care about others' judgments of you, and be careful who you choose as your support staff. And that's one reason that you're here, right? I saw some guys come in. Walters came in. Richard came in. Nix is here, buddy. Richard's also here too. We got two Richards in here. I'm not sure if that's the same person or not. I don't know. Craig's here. Good to see you guys. Love when you keep your video on. I appreciate that. The same Bernard, Oliver. Yeah, I love it. I'm just going to call Dave Oliver from now on. Leandro, good to see you, buddy. Kyle's here. Jason and Ian. Roger. All right, let's go and jump into another question from the forum. This is a bit of a tough one, so I'm curious what you guys think here. So here we go. I just have to ask this question for the 100th time. Maybe I don't understand the answer. I don't know. My wife is, quote, moving on. She states clearly that she doesn't want talk. She wants movement. She sees me as frozen. She wants me to be loving in my words and actions. She states over and over that I have done nothing. Over and over, I've done nothing. For some reason, I only see two paths. Speak to her casually and with good energy about anything and everything, or, quote, talk about us. Okay, I want you to see that right now, guys. He sees only two paths. Either speak with her casually about everything or talk about us. So that's the framework of where he believes that he is right now. And he says, for some reason, that's the only two paths that he sees. I know the heavy, earnest declarations are no good, but neither is light-hearted banter. She remains feeling unseen and ignored, and I feel like I'm screaming at her from behind some thick glass panel. What gives? How do I know when I've done enough? How do you stand on your own 2 feet and love an angry woman who keeps threatening to leave? So again, where do you think that this man is, right, emotionally, and what does he want? Let's start right there. Go ahead and come on in. This is where I hold tension to see how long it takes. Unmute yourself. Come on in. Yeah, Hans, go for it.
I hate that silence part. I have to say something just to break it up.
You're a little choppy, Hans. Can you step toward your router again, buddy?
Yeah, I'm outside doing some stuff.
I like the golf shirt, by the
way. If he's struggling to find out what exactly, oh, thanks. If he's struggling to find out what exactly she means by that, I mean, just have a direct conversation about that. Just saying, like, wait till a calm moment, everything's kind of chill, and just say, hey, we gotta have a. It's just like sort of explanations for you. Never gonna, and he has to make sure that he can define what he wants for himself, and that he's not gonna just do anything she says, but he could also see a blind spot that he wasn't considering that could actually elevate him as a man and actually fulfill a need in the relationship. But if she's not willing to talk, that's sort of a dead end,
Yeah. So Hans, I'm gonna jump in. You were a little bit choppy there. The first thing that I heard was that he needs to talk with her about like what's missing if she'll open up to him, basically, right? But that he needs to fulfill himself otherwise, regardless. But if she's not willing to talk, it's a dead end. It sounds like that she feels like they've gotten to a dead end through talking is what it feels like, right? So let me make this harder. And Hans, let me see what you want to say here, or we can bounce over to somebody else. Let me make this harder. I don't want to fucking hear what you have to say anymore. We've talked this all to death. I want to see action. You've done nothing. Okay. So what do you think he's feeling in that moment?
Well, he's feeling sort of diminished, sort of like no matter what he does, it's not gonna pan out in any sort of meaningful way for her, and that's a hard spot to be in for sure. I've never had that problem. I always do too much, and it's like, you know, it still doesn't register, and it's just like a curiosity to where it's like, okay, in what ways does it serve me to grow in this direction instead of that direction? And what direction does it serve me to, you know, just let some feelings simmer for a bit and just concentrate on my work, or in things that fill me up. And you could go either way with that. If he's just truly fed up and doesn't seem like she's so shut off that nothing he does is going to help, and he can bring that up to her and just say like, look, you know, I'm kind of at a dead end here, and I guess it's just time to move on, unless I can know what exactly you mean by that, and if it suits me to be able to accommodate that. But for me, you know, I'm constantly finding ways that I feel like I can fill a missing piece of myself, and in ways that are rewarding for myself. And if I don't get the feedback I'm looking for, it's just, that's fine. Like that helped me in the long run anyway. And so I don't know if that's a direct answer to the question, but I know that feeling of you know, just kind of hoping to make progress by doing this and hoping to make progress by doing that. But I would just make sure that everything he does is a way of fulfilling some kind of need of his own self that is healthy for the relationship. And you can find where the sections intercross. There are mutualities between what's good for the relationship and good for the self.
Yeah, awesome. I'm gonna press pause on you, Hans, for a second. Let me come over here. So Hans is in an advanced level of this work. I want you to guys know. I don't think, Hans, you realize how amazing your answers are. You kind of shoot 4 blasts across the bow, all at, you know, within 30 seconds, and they're all phenomenal. So a piece of that is honestly saying to her, I feel like I don't know which way to go here. So I'm going to go ahead and step back and turn my shoulders and focus on my own self for a while. You know, that's not so she approves of you. That's not so she pats you on the back. It's just to let her know kind of what's going on, because this guy has no grounding for his own self. And that's why he's coming to the forum, right? So fucking kudos for coming to the forum and putting this on here. But as been said, he's trying to find validation and goodness, and you're a good boy through his wife. And number one, she doesn't want to fucking teach him that, right? She wants the man to know how to do this, or go learn that shit somewhere else by yourself. Because it kills the fantasy for a woman, if you will. It kills the love affair fantasy if she has to teach you how to be a man. She doesn't want to teach you how to be a man. That's a big piece of this. And then 2, he's not sure where to go with this, and he only knows these 2 paths. Yeah, Lon, thanks for raising your hand. Go for it, buddy.
You know, I was going to say pretty much the same thing that you just said there, is that, you know, the whole, he kind of gave himself 2 choices. It seemed to me like it was detach or talk about it, you know, and what I've found through all this is, men, we want to talk about it, but that's all validation. That's trying to we're trying to get validation from them that they are understanding where we're coming from. And what I've learned through this process is exactly what Hans said, is what she really wants him to do is to basically sail his own boat, do his own thing. She doesn't want him to detach completely from her, but he wants him to be confident enough to him that he's okay with who he is, that he's, again, what I said earlier, he's not taking from her cup. He's okay with who he is. And, you know, the whole talking thing about it is, you know, that's that. In the beginning, all of us men want to talk about it, right? And what I've come to learn to understand through that is that's the part that really women are just like, shut the fuck up. I don't want, you know, I'm done having you talk about it, because nothing's changed and you keep wanting to talk about it. So, you know, walk the walk. I'm done with the talk. So,
yeah. Yeah, I agree, Lon. Totally. Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, John, come on in. Next, come on in.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm just getting back to the apartment. So, hold on a second. Another take, I think it's similar to what Lon was just saying there, but the take that I got on it kind of resonated with me, where she's looking for some leadership in one direction or the other. She's looking for leadership somehow, right? I think he's probably at a point similar to me where he's got to kind of understand, the talking about it and trying to repair the bridge back or go backwards in time or go fix things or whatever. That time has passed, right? And so really the only way forward is to lead forward, one direction or the other. He can, plot his own path, sail his own ship, whatever, analogy you want to use, and invite her along for it if he wants, and she can decide if she wants to come along. Or if there's a path back or a bridge back in the future that, maybe that's there, but it's the only path is forward, right? And that's a lot of what you and I have talked about, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let me ask one of my favorite questions, right? So how does that relate to you, John? How can you relate to this man's spot?
I would say I relate like very closely to this guy's spot. Not really know, wanted to talk a lot about it, wanted to know, is there something else I could do? Is there something else I should do? Blah, blah, blah. But really that stuff doesn't really help anything. You got to have to forge your own path and move forward. And really the leadership is what resonated with me, or what it sounded like is the leadership is what she's looking for, right? It's either lead through the separation, divorce, the own path, whatever. And then maybe there's a reconnection at some point in the future, in a 2.0 version, totally different than the past. Or if he, feels like he, can still lead it back together in a path forward, he could try that and see if she wants to join. But if she doesn't want to join, he's got to be good with moving forward without her.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in there, John. And this gentleman right now, thank you, John. I appreciate that. I'm gonna press pause on you. This gentleman right now, he's in a very difficult spot. Like, he's been suckling from the teat for a long time, right? And she's fucking done with that, and he doesn't know any other way to be. And so he's in the right place being here among us. He's got a challenge ahead of him. He's gonna have to suckle his own teat. Or Roger's teats, or whatever's available. Yeah, come to the men. Bring it to the men. Yeah, Roger, that's right, buddy.
Been a while.
Bernard, follow that. Yeah, it's been a while. Exactly. Bernard, yeah, thanks for raising your hand. Coming in. Thanks, John. That was great.
I have a question for Cynthia, because last year I had a girlfriend with which I went out, and she explained to me from her previous boyfriend that when it was not working well, her boyfriend basically came to her, what seemed to her to be seeking approval. Like, it seems a bit like this gentleman. And how she answered, she said to me that for her, that was abusive. Like, in a conversation in a restaurant, just on a dinner table. So for me, it was really amazing to see how it comes over to women when a man comes with doubts and maybe excessive vulnerability and searching for approval in her body. Because when I heard, oh yeah, you are being abusive, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He wasn't being abusive. He was just emotional, but for her, it really felt like that for her. And that's quite amazing. I wouldn't have. And I wonder if it's also for you, Cynthia, or women in general, when a man comes to you that, yeah, in such a frame, like asking you, like, is it okay that I go live my life in that way?
Thank you, Bernard, for that incredible question. And I'm glad you were able to set the frame for her. Like, no, that's not abusive. What it makes me think
it
of.
It was difficult for her to understand that.
Yeah.
It was really tough for her to not use the word abusive. But yes, I think she learned something as well about the conversation. But I wonder if every woman like this.
Oh, okay, so you're asking me how it feels for me. I think so if the feminine truly wants to give love and they truly want to give into the space of what's needed, if masculine energy is coming in really tense and trying to take something, like, I need this so much from you. I need your approval so much. I need your love. I need your affection so much. Like, he's drowning. And I would say that women can do this too. And I've even been on that side of the, I need this so much from you. It can feel like someone's trying to take something from you, that you're not giving, you're not in agreement to give. So it's almost like feeling like, I would imagine she used the word abusive because she almost felt out of control, like something was being taken that she wasn't comfortably giving. And I think that's something femininity has to practice with how they, with, you know, how they feel love and how much they want to give and how much, I mean, women really do want to please you and light you up and be loved for you. But if it feels like it's too much, I can even feel like, oh, this almost feels like out of my control. So that makes me wonder, that's why she felt so uncomfortable with that energy.
Yes, that's beautiful. Let me take a step forward as well. That's a great question, Brown. I appreciate it. So that's phenomenal. I hadn't thought of it that way. If she feels like something's being taken from her that she can't control. So what we need to do instead, gentlemen, is see that suffering for our own selves, work through that with our own selves, with other men, with our guy friends, not with her. You're not wanting to take that to her. She's not your therapist. She's not your mommy. And I've got 60-second video about that, claiming your virtue, claiming what you're going through as a man can be a positive thing, even if it's painful. Here we go.
We have a fundamental freedom within us, one that allows us to transform any given situation. You may feather my leg, Epictetus wrote, but my will, not even Zeus himself can overpower. And so, on the occasion of every accident that befalls you, he continued, remember to turn to yourself and inquire what power you have for turning it to use. If you are met with insults, there's patience. If you are tempted, there's temperance. Against pain, there is endurance. Against despair, there's bravery. In every hardship, there is an opportunity to claim your virtues. Virtues that no force on earth can take away. Virtues that make you, as Marcus Aurelius concluded, a fighter in the noblest fight, one who cannot be overpowered.
No one can take away your perspective on the suffering. No one can take that away from you. And when you give her, let's say, you're asking her to take that over for you, not only are you eroding your own power, but you're pissing on the relationship, because that's absolutely not the role that she wants to have. That does not turn her on. That is not what she signed up for. And that's why, and she won't say that out loud logically. This is all unconscious. This is instinctual. Cynthia and I talk about this on the show quite often, is that even if you don't show up as the man that she dreamed that you would be, she can see that as a betrayal of your role within the relationship. Right? Now, is that fair? No. Is that kind of harsh? Fuck yeah, that sounds harsh to me. That if you don't live up to the archetypal daydream fantasy of man that she had in her mind, that she'll see that as a betrayal. Yeah, that's unfair. Well, that's why you have this work. That's why you learn here how to unfold a relationship with her. You don't just stay quiet. It's not that you never fight. And that's one thing that's actually not good, is if you never disagree about something, because she wants to feel your power. She wants to feel where she can push against your strength and your masculinity. She doesn't want to feel like you're going to get blown over by her. All right, let's go ahead and jump into Cynthia's sexy paid spot today. Time for that. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Here we go. Yeah, welcome to Cynthia's Sexcapade Spot today. It's all about the circles and getting sandy and then taking a shower afterwards and getting wet.
Yes.
It's all about the circles. So
It
tell
is.
us about the circles.
So today I wanted to talk more about woman's cervix and actually the idea of cervical orgasm. And it's perfect for today because we talked about, all of us bring to relationship all the things that have happened before. And we bring patterns, we bring physical patterns, we bring emotional responses. And in the field of women's work, there's a lot of discussion about how women store old emotional responses actually in the cervical part of their body. And that's why some women, if you actually end up touching their cervix, it's almost like a pain response, just because there's actually a tightening there. That's a muscular constriction. Whereas if a woman's cervix is open and relaxed, that's when your stimulation of that can create the cervical orgasm for her, which is kind of akin to her being covered in 100 butterflies and the feeling of them all like getting to fly off of her body. So how to work with her on that? It's all about the circles. And it's not going right for orgasm right away, but using the head of your penis or whatever it happens to be to draw slow, soft circles around the very top or edge of her cervix, just to invite a relaxation there for her. And that kind of circular motion can go all inside of her as well. And it's inviting forth that there might be some emotional release that happens there. There could be some tears, and that's not a bad thing. It's kind of like having those conversations with your woman where there is emotion that's going to come out because you're kind of massaging what's been tight between you two and releasing what's been tight between you two. So that's a way that you actually can take things that have been tight in her and inviting her to blossom and relax with you. And even if you're not inside of her body drawing these kind of circles, this kind of massaging what is tight between us in relationship space matters. It can be as simple as rubbing circles on the back of her back, rubbing circles in the palm of her hand, or even having the frame of mind if you're experiencing emotional storm in her or something that she seems tight in or something that's in the past that she can't let go of, the frame that I'm massaging this. Like, this is not a diving through and fix it. This is inviting a softening and a relaxing for her that eventually in the bedroom can lead to incredible connection between you two and incredible exchange of pleasure.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So I love that, Cynthia. I love that you bring these advanced sexual concepts here. That's something that we're dedicated to bringing you. This is advanced work. This is ninja level shit. And so I'll add on to that maybe it's not even internal right now for you. Maybe the staircase of intimacy for you right now is this is an external, where you're rubbing circles and doing figure eights, on the outside of her body as well. And that's the 5 minutes, that's the 10 minutes. And you breathing in the femininity of her, the gift that is, not that, you need it, but that you want to see beauty in the world. And part of this opening is that you don't have any attachment to outcome. You're not trying to get anything from her when you do this. So that applies beautifully to our theme of today, right? Of standing on your own 2 feet, wanting something, but not trying to steal from her, basically.
Yeah. I mean, all of this is an absolute honoring and giving. And if it's appropriate that, she deserves you to give in that way, holy cow, talk about being met by energy that is golden and strong and powerful and pulsing. I'm right now, with one of John Wineland's groups, and it's like over 100 women, and these 100 women are craving this kind of energy from the masculine. And so I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing now, even in the face of tightness from another person. It truly does matter.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, I know when I give Roger a cervical orgasm, he really opens up. He's not even there. Damn it. Roger's chair likes his cervical orgasms. Well, you guys are phenomenal. We have 1 minute left. Let's honor our chat and our staircase of courage question for today. What if your wife doesn't support you? And I've seen you guys have been punching into the chat, so we'll see what we can get through here in about 45 seconds. I want to honor you guys. What if your wife doesn't support you, please?
Let's see. So Hans had said, breathe through the hate-filled moment, ask for a pause in the conversation, and ask with curiosity when she's in a better state of mind. And Jordan said, I'd ask why she doesn't support me and just take the answer if I got one as data, but I wouldn't necessarily change my choice or decision or actions.
Ooh, let me just jump in for a second. That's fucking facing the fire. So I like it. Okay, I like it, but you better be breathing into your belly and then take a break after that. But I think you're right. I think she might blast him with some reality here, or just tell him to fuck off because she's already answered. I've already answered that 20 times. But that's facing the fire, Jordan. Yeah, please.
It's a little theoretical because, we're divorced, but still.
Sure. Well, I'm happy to pontificate theory with you sometime, Jordan. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Right on. Yeah, please.
Lon said, simply, your wife should not need to support you. If you're not confident enough to support yourself, you're not bringing your best self to the relationship, and your relationship will suffer and possibly fail as a result. Richard said, if I don't get support, it's okay based on where I came from, where I'm at right now, and where I'm going. I don't need her support to continue to grow. Jason before that had said, motivate myself. Hossein said, I will not feel good at the moment, but I know I will be okay after a long walk if I do not react to her disapproval. Kyle said, my wife has always supported me. She would never stop me, but I felt at times some backlash. But to the point of the meme, her backlash has come from not doing things for herself. My illusion of not being supported was her reflection of her own wanting, as well as my guilt for not taking time and not supporting her. Richard said, support is a two-way street. Sometimes you need to support each other's to reach your goals. You can't use her solo for support and need other support mechanisms.
Yeah.
When it comes to your relationship, if she doesn't support you in your work and your relationships, you need to look at your nuts to make sure it doesn't violate. And this is something that you want to be with.
Yeah, beautiful. You guys are phenomenal being here for each other, calling this out. A big piece of this, again, like you've said, like Lon said, is being around other men that are doing this work to raise you up. Ultimately, that's what she wants. She may give you shit in the moment. She will give you shit in the moment, but don't take her opinion as gospel truth. That's her metaphoric feelings in that moment. You guys are phenomenal. Thanks for being here. Bernard, good to see you. Nix, Jason, Kyle, Lon, Roger, Ian, Hussein, Hans, Dave, Richard, love to see you guys. Love that you have your videos on. Craig, Patrick, Walters, Rob, Clay, J-Bar, Richard, good to see you guys. Same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow on Friday. Ciao, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Get more affection, love, and sex in your marriage. Get less paralyzing fear and rejection. Never miss an episode. Watch anytime, anywhere, 3 a.m. on the toilet. Get full episodes. GreatMenMoveMountains.com/VIP. The C-Note Show.